Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Patriots, tomorrow morning, the United States Supreme Court will hear arguments that could fundamentally change who gets to call themselves an American citizen. President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children of illegal aliens is heading to the highest court in the land, and some of his own cabinet members will be sitting in that courtroom watching it unfold. It's not just about another immigration case, my friends. This is a constitutional showdown over the very meaning of American citizenship. And here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. Compelling legal arguments exist that our founding fathers never intended to grant automatic citizenship to anchor babies. So what happens if Trump wins this case? Well, I'm going to tell you what's at stake for you and your family. Right now, illegal aliens can cross our border, have a baby on American soil, and that child automatically becomes a U.S. citizen with full access to every benefit you've been paying for your entire life. Your tax dollars funding their health care, their education, their welfare checks. Meanwhile, we've got 20 veterans a day who are doing the unthinkable to themselves. We've got American kids in classrooms without textbooks. And where's your money going? To people who broke into our country illegally. But it gets worse. Birth tourism has become an industry. Foreign nationals flying in just to deliver babies, then using those anchor babies to chain migrate entire families into America. This exploitation of the 14th Amendment has created a magnet for illegal immigration that has cost American taxpayers billions. The Trump administration argues this was never the intent of the amendment drafted after the Civil War. Those 6 words, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, were deliberately inserted for a reason. And now the Supreme Court will finally decide if we've been misrepresenting our own Constitution for decades. And speaking of major constitutional changes, times like these remind us how quickly the ground can shift beneath our feet in America. When institutions we thought were rock solid suddenly face upheaval, it makes you wonder what else could change overnight. If disruption hit your neighborhood and you couldn't get to the store, how long would you last with what's in your house right now? If it's less than a month, you need to check out our friends at My Patriots Supply. They're America's #1 preparedness company with over 3 million satisfied customers. Right now, at preparewithgary.com, it's linked below, their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply comes with an additional week free. Real meals, real ingredients, no artificial flavors, shelf life measured in decades. At least 2,000 calories a day. Look, constitutional crises remind us things can change fast. And get prepared with the most trusted folks in the business at preparewithgary.com. Now back to tomorrow's Supreme Court showdown that could reshape American citizenship as we know it. In a jaw-dropping 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court just granted President Trump broad wartime authority under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. That means Venezuelan gang members from the Tren de Aragua can now be deported directly to El Salvador's mega prison. Remember when that activist judge, James Boasberg, tried to stop the deportations? The Supreme Court just smacked him down hard. You see, this is what winning looks like. The president has the constitutional authority to remove foreign terrorists from American soil, and now the highest court has confirmed it. Let's see what the Patriots are saying about this. U.S. Supreme Court set to hear the arguments whether to uphold President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. Listen.
The U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear arguments tomorrow in a major case on birthright citizenship. Some Trump cabinet members are expected to be in the courtroom. The justices will weigh whether people born in this country to parents who are here illegally should be granted citizenship. Constitutional law attorney Jonathan Turley says it's all about the nitty-gritty when it comes to our founding fathers' wording.
When the 14th Amendment was drafted, some of the drafters said explicitly that it does not allow for birthright citizenship. The problem are these 6 words, this clause, put in the middle of an otherwise clear sentence. But the key is that those words were not in that sentence in the original draft. They were intentionally inserted. So you can't just treat them as superfluous. They were inserted for a reason. And I think that there are compelling arguments on both sides here.
President.
So tomorrow, the showdown begins. the Supreme Court to weigh in. Trump is not sitting idly by, his Justice Department charging full speed to dismantle the outdated interpretations once and for all. Trump's DOJ going full throttle. President Trump has ordered his Justice Department to storm the Supreme Court and demolish birthright citizenship for illegal aliens. Enough.
This term of President Trump's aggressive immigration crackdown striking directly at the U.S. Constitution and a fundamental question, just who is an American citizen? Moments after being sworn in for a second time, President Trump signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship, the practice of giving automatic citizenship to any child born on U.S. soil, regardless of the immigration status of mom and dad. Trump wants to change that, make it tougher to get automatic American citizenship. The DOJ will make arguments tomorrow before the justices at issue, specifically the part of the 14th Amendment written after the Civil War, which states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. It was written to give children of former slaves a quick path to citizenship after the Civil War. It may sound straightforward, but there is that part that Professor Turley mentioned, quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote. And the DOJ is arguing that children born to parents that are in the country illegally or visiting temporarily, therefore are not American citizens. Ultimately, that phrase is very important to this case, even though every lower court that has looked at the issue has rejected it. This comes during a midterm election year. Certainly implications in November and far beyond. We expect a ruling from the justices by the beginning of July.
Wow, this is historic. And just as the Justice Department is preparing for the showdown, another victory for Trump materializes on the immigration front. In a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court granted Trump broad wartime authority under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act.
Now we have a Fox News alert. The Supreme Court just cleared the way for Trump to deport illegals even faster. The High Court ruled that Trump can use the Alien Enemies Act to send Venezuelan gangbangers to a mega prison in El Salvador. This is a huge ruling in Trump's favor and a major win for the country. After, as you know, D.C. Judge James Boasberg ordered a stop to the deportations. So this is pretty significant. These deportations, Caroline, can keep going.
This is a massive legal victory, Jesse, a massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges like Judge Boasberg, who was completely out of line in trying to say that the president didn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists off of our soil. We have always maintained the position at the White House that the president was well within his constitutional authority to do so. And this decision proves that President Trump and our administration have always been right from the beginning. He will continue to utilize the Alien Enemies Act to remove foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members, vicious gang members from American communities. And because of this ruling, the United States of America is a much safer place. Our team will get to work tomorrow to deport these heinous, violent foreign terrorists from our neighborhoods.
And you have
Trump racking up the wins. Hopefully he'll get another win. It's important to consider the broader implications of unchecked immigration. Lawmakers like Congressman Andy Ogles are pushing for tougher requirements to ensure new arrivals contribute rather than take. No more welfare migration. If you want to come to America, you must be a giver and not a taker.
Again, just as you're saying, you have to have a job. You have to show that you can support yourself, because right now, 65% of individuals coming into this country, where do they end up? On welfare. Mind you, we still have roughly 20 veteran suicides a day. We have kids across this country who don't have textbooks. So instead of your taxpayers taking care of our veterans and our kids, it's going to people who, quite frankly, don't love this country, don't belong here, and we should deport them.
Yeah, you've proposed interviews that determine the moral character of potential immigrants, among
That's
other
right.
strict requirements. We'll be watching it, the Assimilation Act. Thanks for highlighting it today, Congressman Ogles.
The Assimilation Act is on the table. Legislators pushing for fair immigration policies. The mainstream media downplaying the consequences of illegal immigration, as evidenced by the tragic story of Sheridan Gorman.
Just last week, Sheridan Gorman, a young woman in Chicago, was shot and killed on the street walking with her friends outside of her university by an illegal alien from Venezuela who had no right to be here in the first place. And it's despicable that Democrats are currently defunding the department that's responsible for removing illegal aliens like that. And I would also add it's despicable that the lack of coverage of this young woman's case, of her life, and the way that it was tragically cut short. I saw a survey over the weekend that I'd like to bring to all of your attention. This is the media coverage of the case of Sheridan Gorman. You have ABC News has spent 1 minute and 19 seconds between 2 days when this case was first alerted. You have CBS, 2 minutes and 1 second. You have NBC, 23 seconds spent on the life of a young, beautiful American woman whose life was taken short by an illegal alien who should have never been here in the first place, when we are in the middle of a battle on Capitol Hill with a major political party, the Democrat Party, who wants to defund the agency that is responsible for protecting Americans. I think her life was worth more than 23 seconds on cable television.
Certainly was. But the media will never, ever present that to you. Now, here's what the establishment media and the radical left don't want you to understand. It's not about being anti-immigrant. It's about being pro-American. For too long, activist judges and open border politicians have twisted our Constitution to benefit people who broke our laws while ignoring the citizens they swore to protect. Sheridan Gorman was a beautiful young American woman with her whole life ahead of her. She was shot dead on a Chicago street by an illegal alien from Venezuela who should have never been in the country. NBC News gave her 23 seconds of coverage. 23 seconds. As you heard the press secretary say, her life was worth more than that. The Trump administration is finally putting Americans first, securing our borders, deporting violent criminals, and now challenging the very interpretation of citizenship that created this crisis. Patriots, we are witnessing history unfold. Tomorrow's Supreme Court arguments on birthright citizenship could redefine what it means to be an American for generations. Combined with the Alien Enemies Act ruling and legislation like Congressman Ogle's Assimilation Act, requiring immigrants to support themselves, President Trump is systematically dismantling the open border agenda that has endangered American families for decades. Now, I want to know what you think. Should birthright citizenship be ended for children of illegal aliens? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments and let's get this debate going. And since you watched this entire video, here's a special message that only you will see. Text raw feed to 844-840-4963. When the algorithm fails you and when notifications never arrive, I will not fail you. I will send you the information directly to your phone. You'll get the news that you can rely on, the news that gets buried. Just text that raw feed, the words raw feed, to 844-840-4963. And while you're here, make sure you are still subscribed and that notification bell is turned on, because this story is developing fast and you do not want to miss our coverage when the Supreme Court decision drops. And if you want to show your support for America First journalism, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and share this video with every patriot you know. I'm Gary Franchi. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. Truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.